Hello, friends. Welcome back. I am so happy you're here because today I'm going to be wading into the water of a genre that I have only previously ever dipped my toe into, and that is dark romance. I have read what I would consider to be dark romance in the past, but I'm honestly not sure where the line is drawn between just like erotica and dark romance. The definition that I found calls dark romance a subgenre of romance that explores themes of love, but also intertwines darker elements such as obsession, moral ambiguity, and emotional turmoil. I feel like I've read a couple of book series that check at least one or two of those boxes. I've read Katie Roberts' Wicked Villain series, which is like a sexy retelling of Disney characters where the villain gets the girl. The main setting of this series takes place in this underground like sex club, so there are a lot of BDSM themes, but I'm not sure how like dark the series is considered. I've also read The Vicious Lost Boys by Nikki St. Croix. Another Disney retelling. This is reimagining of Peter Pan characters. Excellent full cast audiobooks, by the way. So I am just now realizing that apparently my experience with dark romance has been limited to Disney retellings. And those may be more widely considered erotica versus dark romance, but there is absolutely no question about the books that I'm going to be reading for this vlog. They verge quite a bit further into the darkness than anything that I've read in the past, and that is what we're going to see if I am a fan of in this video today. First on the docket, we have Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. This is a reverse harem mafia romance where our four vipers kidnap this woman as repayment of a debt that her father owes them. So interesting. I also plan on reading Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is a dark stalker romance featuring masked men fantasies, breaking and entering, and thirst trap TikToks. So yes, please. And lastly, and possibly the most notorious dark romance there is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Another stalker romance, this one featuring a young woman who not only inherits her grandmother's Gothic Victorian mansion, but also the shadow that lurks in the woods and has targeted her as his obsession. And he will not stop until she fully belongs to him in every way possible. So color me intrigued. All of these books have been on my radar for quite some time, but I've just been a little nervous to get into them, but I'm also so curious to see what my feelings are going to be about this subgenre. If you're interested as well and want to see my thoughts on any of these books, stick around as I test my limits and see if dark romance is going to be for me. Let's get into the first book, shall we? Hello, friends. So I have started Den of Vipers. So I wanted to pop in and tell you about my initial thoughts. I am about 20% through. I've listened to about 4 hours of the audiobook, but I also need to get ready for the day because I am going down my mom's. I'm going to visit with her a little bit. I'm going to make some dinner. I'm going to make chili. I'm so excited. Chili is the sort of dish that we only have like in the fall and winter months because my husband refuses to make it for me unless it's chilly outside, and being in Florida, that rarely happens. So I'm going to go down and make us some chili, visit with my mom and my niece, and just hang out for a little bit. So that'll be nice. But I do need to get ready. So I figured while I do that, I will update you on Den of Vipers. So it is a fun, goofy time so far. I'm having a fun, silly, goofy time. Also, really quick, if you can hear the fan, I apologize. If these lights are on, that fan is on. I don't get the option to turn it off. So I apologize if you can hear that in the background. But I'm having a fun, silly, goofy time with Den of Vipers, like I figured I would. It's all very like stereotypical of a dark romance. So we have our four vipers. We have Ryder, who is like the super put together, pretty boy leader. He is the one keeping the whole group together. He is the face of the organization, but he is also the one that appears to be struggling the most at keeping his composure at bay. I mean, the stress of running a city has got to get to a person, right? Next, we have Kenzie, which is Ryder's brother. He is the super suave, charming, smug brother. They all call themselves brothers, even though I think that the only actual brothers are Ryder and Kenzie. We then have Garrett. He is the quiet one. He's the mysterious one. He's the more reserved and like tortured soul of the bunch. We've gotten some like sneak peeks of some of that tortured past, but we don't know a lot about it yet. All we know is it has something to do with a girl, and he absolutely hates women now because all he sees when he looks at women is the one that broke his heart. And lastly, we have Diesel. He is the psychopath. Literal sociopath, psychopath, crazy. He tortures people for fun. He's a pyromaniac. He really likes pain in all aspects. And of course, they're all like super buff, super hot, abs for days, 6'3", you know. You can't run a city without a six-pack, right? And then we have our heroine, Roxy. She's super tough. She does not back down from the Vipers. I would say she's not scared of them, but she is scared. She just pretends like she's not. She knows how to fight, and she knows how to push these men's buttons. And even though they have threatened to kill her multiple times, she continuously does so. We've definitely learned the most about her. We learned about her terrible childhood with her real piece of work father and her drug-addicted mother. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of hoping that when the Vipers learn of the extent of kind of what Roxy's father did to her, that they're just gonna rescind the decision to let him be in one piece. Because I absolutely love a touch her and you die trope. So, hoping for that. Because of course, they're all absolutely enamored by her. Not only because she is also super hot, but because she isn't scared of them, or appears to be not scared of them, and is definitely not afraid to push their buttons and fight back. And she is just not the type to cower before them like everybody else in the city. And she also continuously says how much she hates these men for literally kidnapping her. But the more time she spends with them and the more that she learns about them, that hate seems to be very quickly dwindling. Very little has happened plot-wise so far. We meet the Vipers, who are roughing up Roxy's dad, and to save his life, he sells his daughter. He says, "Take her, leave me." And even though they don't usually deal in human beings, they can't let the city think they're going soft. So, of course, they're like, yeah, we'll take your daughter. We'll show everybody how ruthless we are. So they send some goons to kidnap Roxy from the bar that she owns, and she absolutely hands them their asses with her baseball bat, gets them locked up in jail. So the Vipers have to go do the job themselves. So they've brought her back to their headquarters, which is like super high tech, super high security. And she has spent most of her imprisonment so far just trying to escape. They are treating her well so far, like they're not forcing themselves on her. She has a super comfortable and luxurious bedroom. They've gotten her new clothes. They aren't locking her in her bedroom for the most part. Like, she does have free reign of the apartment. I am glad to see that they're not like forcing themselves on her, at least yet anyway. I was worried about a little bit of dubious consent, but that hasn't been an issue so far, which is fantastic. I don't know if I'd like that very much. She kind of hates herself for it, but she cannot deny how attractive these men are and that she does want them. And with every day that passes, I think she's only been there a couple days at this point, but it seems like with every day that passes, she is definitely lowering her guard, and it seems so are the Vipers. Is the writing great? No. Does the idea of the mobsters kidnapping a woman that has nothing to do with this instead of just killing the guy that owes them a debt make sense? Not really. But am I enjoying my time reading it? Yeah, kind of. I am gonna be honest. I am torn between being like super annoyed by every single one of these characters and just kind of living for the vibes and enjoying the sexual tension between everybody. Roxy is very much like, oh, I'm not like other girls. I'm tough. I can take care of myself. These Vipers don't scare me. Which, I mean, considering her past and her trauma, I get, but it's also giving like, I'm not like other girls. And kind of the men are just so pompous. They're like, nobody messes with us. We run this town. And like, they are hot, but every single one of them knows how hot they are. And that's just annoying. And if I'm being critical, which I am a little bit, The writing is just, I don't know, it's really stiff. It feels very debut. It feels very new. It feels inexperienced. It's kind of reading like a fan fiction. The scenes where she's like painting the surroundings is very stiff. We're just kind of getting like a list of things that are in the room when she is introducing us to a new space, which definitely isn't my favorite. And after 4 hours of reading this, we've just been kind of getting the same thoughts over and over again from each of our characters, which makes it feel a little bit monotonous. Like Roxy is just constantly like, oh, I hate these guys. I don't want them, but why is my body betraying me? And it's just been that for chapters. And the guys are the same way. Like, they're like, oh, she doesn't mean anything. She's just a bargain. She's just a deal. But a couple of them are like trying to stay away from her so they're not tempted. And the others are not doing that. They're just going for it. But I don't know. The characters are just very one-dimensional at this point. I'm also not a huge fan of the male audiobook narrator. I am listening to this audibly. I can't talk through this. Hold on. And the male narrator just has a super thick accent. It's either like British or Scottish. I'm not sure which, but the accent is so thick. And I struggle as it is with accents. Like, understanding clearly what they're saying is a struggle to my ears for some reason. And his accent is just so thick, and he growls so much. Like, he will growl words, and that just makes it a little hard to comprehend when I'm listening to it. But it is such a long book. There's no way that I could finish this book just reading it with my eyeballs and finish every other book that I wanted to finish this month. So I do need to listen to the audiobook. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not my favorite. Struggling to understand what he's saying does just kind of take me out of the story occasionally. There has been some little hint drops about maybe some of the possible plot points that are going to be touched upon later on in the book. Like, there is this, I believe, rival gang called the Tribunal that are trying to kind of take over their leadership of the city. So I'm foreseeing that we're going to get a little bit more of that later. But so far, nothing has really happened other than our characters kind of getting to know each other and creating everybody's dynamic and kind of her relationship with each of the Vipers. It is pretty fast-paced. Like, it does not feel like I've already listened to 4 hours of the book. And we have gotten our first sex scene. It was okay. It was, like, slightly on the verge of dubious consent, but she admits that she never says no. So, like, she's fighting, but she never says stop or don't or no. So I think they both know that she doesn't want him to actually stop. But yeah, it's a decent read so far. I am enjoying myself, just trying to kind of go in, no thoughts, head empty. That's how I always go into these kind of books, just, you know, here for the vibes, here for the entertainment value, not for the critical thinking value of these books. I am having a fun, silly, goofy time. And I have like an hour and a half journey ahead of me to go visit my mom. So I will definitely be listening to more of this on the car journey there and the way back tonight. So I will definitely get a good chunk of this listened to today. It is like a 19.5-hour audiobook, but I will definitely take a chunk of that off today during my journey. So that is amazing. It's like a 3-star so far. Nothing great, but enjoying myself. So I will check back in when I have an update. I now have my face on. I'm going to straighten my hair and head south. Hello, friends. I am back with just a little update. So I had to pop on here and talk about what the hell I just read. So I am about 50% through Den of Vipers, and this girly pop, this insane woman just got pleasured with a knife handle. That doesn't even, that doesn't sound appealing. It doesn't sound comfortable. I mean, I'm not here to like yuck someone's yum, but I'm confused. The sex scenes with Diesel, which is like the psychotic one, the one that likes torture, it's just unhinged. It's chaotic, it's weird. I mean, not that I'm hating it, it's just weird. But everything's consensual, so I mean, more power to her. That's what she's into. But this man was like stabbing himself with the knife while stabbing her with not a knife, and it was just a lot. It was a lot. But I'm still having a silly, fun, goofy time. I'm not hating it. I'm not loving it. I'm having a fun time. They're all really starting to fall for each other, even though it's been like 5 days. I am enjoying getting to know everybody a little bit more. We're starting to get peeks into everybody's backstories. We're getting glimpses into everybody's traumatic pasts. It is a little trauma dumpy. Like, each character's personality is purely based off their trauma, which I get. I mean, when you have something super traumatic happen to you, that does become a part of who you are, but that's like all these people are. But if you know anything about me, your girl loves a traumatic past. So I'm not hating it. I feel like there might be something wrong with me. I can't be the only one. There's something about a broken person that you just want to like fix, you know? Like just hold them and be like, it's okay. Like, you've been through so much and I'm here. I blame Bucky Barnes, honestly. So yeah, the characters are growing on me a little bit. They are still surface level, but I'm enjoying the exploration of everybody's backstories and seeing their personality shine through a little bit. So the rival gang has actually put a bounty on all of the Vipers' heads. So like the whole town is trying to kill them. So that's no bueno. We're following them as they're trying to kind of figure out where they're getting their information, where there's a leak, and who exactly is putting these hits on them so they can target those people specifically. And of course, Roxy is making her rounds with the men. Get 'em, girl. Everyone but Garrett, which was the like quiet, guarded one. He's still very much just pushing her away, but you know it's only a matter of time. I am enjoying her relationships with each of the 4 guys. She kind of goes to each different guy for different scenarios and different needs that she has. But let's be honest, the needs are mostly sex. I've read a lot of horny books, guys. A lot of horny books. This might be one of the horniest. These characters are just constantly, just like 24/7 horned up. And there's just no way. There's no way. I'm not buying it. But it's funny. It's sexy. I'm having a good time. If not a little cliche, but still a good time. I'm not super invested in the like actual plot of their business and their like running of the city. I don't feel like that's very fleshed out at all. And I kind of think I already see where the leak and the big intel is coming from. Like, I feel like it's pretty obvious. I may be totally wrong, but we'll see. I'll let you know. 50% of the way through. I definitely do not think this needed to be 650 pages, but I don't know. I still have about halfway to go, so I'll let you know if that changes. Again, it's just kind of middle of the road for me right now. I am enjoying it, having a fun time. So I am going to go do my workout, and then I need to make some overnight oats tonight. I usually make them like Sunday night so I can have them all week, but I was slacking a little bit. So I need to prep them tonight so I can have them for in the morning. I do oats. I add a bunch of raspberries, almond butter, and then I have this like protein peanut butter powder that I add in as well. And oh my gosh, they are so good. I am obsessed and I can't get enough of them. So that's usually what I have for breakfast every morning, but I do need to prepare those tonight. And then I should probably meal prep my lunches for the rest of the week. So I'm gonna go do my workout, get a shower, and do some meal prepping. That is my plans for the night, and I will check back in later. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back. So happy to see you. I have finished Den of Vipers. I have mixed feelings. As I've said in previous clips, the writing is not great. Everything was just so stereotypical. The characters felt like they could pretty much be copy pasted from any dark romance, reverse harem series that you've ever read, other than maybe Diesel, because he's just a psychopath. But the story arc was super predictable. It did kind of read like a fan fiction. I mean, not that I have anything against a fan fiction. I love a good fan fiction, but that's kind of what the writing was reminding me of. Take that as you will. It was enjoyable for the most part. There were just quite a few things that were not working for me. The writing was getting extremely monotonous and repetitive over the second half of the book. Everyone's inner monologue kept saying like the exact same things in slightly different ways, just over and over. I mean, I love smut as much as the next girl, but it was getting a little repetitive hearing about how horny all of these characters were 24 freaking 7. How Roxy wormed her way under their skin and how they wormed their way under hers, and now they're each other's only weaknesses, which I make fun, but I mean, those are cute sentiments, but it was just reiterated into the ground. I feel like this could have used some heavy editing. This did not need to be 650 pages. The male audiobook narrator also did not get any better. He was pretty terrible throughout. Like, he was growling every other word, and he would just put like weird enunciations on certain parts of the sentences, and it just, I don't know, it felt weird to me. I was not a fan. So if you do decide that you want to pick this one up, I would recommend maybe an ebook or pick it up physically. The erotic scenes were pretty good, but they were just so abundant and did nothing for the plot. There were a few that kind of like made sense throughout the plot. They were like deepening the relationship, but most of them just felt like, I don't know, just way too abundant. They were just chapters after chapters after chapters of erotica with like little tiny plot sprinkled in. And I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I'm sure that people don't go into these books expecting immaculate plot, but turns out I need just a little bit more plot with my smut. I will say the minuscule plot portions that we did get were pretty decent. I mean, if not mafia romance stereotypical, the big bad vipers, leaders of the city, were at war with a rival family, and the rival family obviously wants to be the head honchos. So they put a hit out on the vipers, and there is an unknown informant that is feeding them information, and a lot of the mid-book is trying to figure out who this informant is. I admittedly was not correct in my assumption of who the informant was, and I would say that in my defense, the person that it ended up being, we thought was dead, but the person that I thought it was also presumed to be dead, so I just had the wrong dead person, apparently. I did enjoy the conflict resolution of this battle war with the rival family that they had. I thought the gunfights and the fighting scenes were actually done pretty well. They were entertaining and decently well written. And speaking of guns, this woman took 2 other inanimate objects. The last time we spoke, she took a weapon, and then now she has taken 2 other inanimate objects. And I just don't, I just don't understand how that would be comfortable. I guess, I mean, the taboo-ness of it is the appeal. So, I mean, if you like weapon foreplay, you can check that one off your list for this one. Oh my gosh. And another thing that was annoying, I wish that I had a Control F, which is just like finding a certain word. I just want to know how many times this book said the word viper. It had to be over 150 times, maybe 200. It was insane, the amount of times I heard the word viper so many times. Like, it was too much. I'm a viper. You're a viper now. We're vipers. You don't mess with the vipers. Like, yeah, we get it. I get it. It was enough. Also, there was 0 mention of any kind of contraception. Are we just to assume that Roxy is on birth control? Because they definitely weren't using condoms. They just throwing caution to the wind you know, letting what happens happens. I will say that is one of my slight pet peeves about like smutty romance, is when they do not address those like little things. For some reason in dark fantasy romances, it doesn't bother me as much. I don't know why. Just because it's fantasy doesn't mean they can't also get pregnant, or I assume get STDs, but it just bothers me more when it's like modern day. It's like, you know that these things exist. Like, birth control is a thing. Either address that you're on it or use condoms, do something. And I know I said I was having a fun, goofy time, which I was, but I just want to kind of like point out the obvious here. Every single one of these men are walking red flags. Even Kenzo, who was the sweetest and the most romantic and the softest of the Vipers, even he was a red flag. And honestly, she wasn't much better. In dark romances, I just choose to look past the red flags to have my fun, silly, goofy time. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that this is so obviously toxic. They are all super obsessive, super possessive, and just pompous. I admittedly did like the touch her and die trope, which they took very seriously multiple times. But there were also portions where I was like, you did not need to kill that man for doing that. Like that is too much. You guys need to calm down. I know I've done a lot of shit talking here in the last couple minutes, but there honestly were quite a few parts that had me smiling and chuckling. My favorite parts were probably when the whole group was together. They tried to have breakfast together every morning, and they would just like poke and barb at each other and just give each other a hard time. And those moments just struck me as sweet, and they really did feel like a family in those moments. And even though the sex scenes were super abundant and I felt like could have been cut down a little bit, I mean, they were hot, they were sexy. I did enjoy most of them. I just could have done with a little bit more plot mixed in. But overall, not too bad. Most certainly not the best romance I've read, but probably not the worst. It'll probably land like a 2.5, maybe a 3, but probably closer to a 2.5. There were just so many glaring issues and complaints that I had with it. I don't think I can give it a 3. Probably going to be a 2.5. And it does seem like a lot of the reviews that I've read about this do have some of the same complaints that I do. And this one is the lowest average rated on Goodreads that I'm going to be reading for this vlog. So I'm glad I read it first. I'm glad I got it out of the way. And hopefully the next 2 books that I read only go up from here. I'm not sure which one I'm going to start next. I'm leaning towards Haunting Adeline, but I'm not positive. I do have to read that physically on my e-reader, whereas the other I do have audibly. So I guess it depends kind of what I'm in the mood for. But when I decide, I will let you know, and I will check back in when I get a little bit of the way through and check back in when I have an update. Okay, hi, hello. Don't mind my frizzled hair. I just got back in the car. I went for a run at the park, and I just had to get on here and share. I had my fastest 5K. I will put the time up here. And it was outside in the park. And I find that so much harder than running on a treadmill because of the up and down elevations. And I'm just so damn proud of myself. I had to come on here and share. I am beat, my legs are tired, but yeah, super excited. Fastest 5K. Doing this run also made me realize that maybe I'm not eating enough calories. Like, I'm sticking around 1,600 calories a day, and that's with me doing my workout every day, about 30 minutes. And not that I have low energy, but I just felt like I had so much more energy today, and I had a big breakfast. So I'm thinking maybe I need to eat a little bit more. Still good stuff, but eat a little bit more. So maybe I'll try that out. Maybe that's what I've been missing. Hello friends, happy Monday. I did just want to quickly pop in and let you know that I am going to be starting Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton next. I am hesitantly optimistic about this one. This one does have a higher average rating on Goodreads than my previous read, which was Den of Vipers. So I'm hoping that this one maybe is a little bit better written. I'm hoping to not have as many glaring problems as I did with Den of Vipers, but we will see. This is a dark stalker romance, which I personally have never read from before, so I am intrigued. And I feel like if you've ever heard of or been interested in dark romance, you've probably heard about this one. I feel like this was one of the books that really started the dark romance craze that has taken over the internet and has enraptured so many readers. Sydney is working late tonight, so I do have a couple of hours to myself tonight, so I figured I would pop on, let you know that I'm going to be starting my next read, and we will read together for a little bit, and hopefully I'll get a good chunk done and I can check in with my initial thoughts. I really want to just fall in to an unhinged, crazy, smutty romance, so I'm hoping this one does it for me. We have a playlist, so that's always cool. And I just had to, I haven't even made it to the book yet, but I had to come on here and give you the very important note that we have received. It says the contents of this book are very dark with triggering situations such as non/dubcon between the main characters, which is non or dubious consent, which I'm not sure it's going to be for me, but I guess we'll see. Graphic violence, human trafficking, stalking, obviously, child trafficking, child sacrifice, mentions of child death, and explicit sexual situations. There are also particular kinks such as gunplay, somnophilia, I don't even know what the hell that is, bondage, and degradation. This book was previously taken down due to the warning, but you can also find them in reviews on my website or feel free to message me directly. You gotta love a trigger warning list that ends with your mental health matters. Reading this, I am nervous, I am excited, I am intrigued. One moment while I look up somnophilia. I really hope this doesn't get me put on a list somewhere. Oh, it's like the Edward thing in Twilight. So somnophilia is where you are sexually aroused by someone who is asleep or unconscious. Interesting. Okay, learned something today. See, who said smutty books can't teach you things? And now, we begin the actual reading. I've read about 150 pages. I am 25% of the way through, and we need to talk. I'll give you a little background because I knew absolutely nothing going into this book other than what I told you, that it was a stalker romance. So this is dual POV. We get both Addie and Z's perspectives, which I am enjoying. Addie is a writer who just inherited her grandmother's old, isolated Gothic house where she spent most of her childhood. She's working on getting it fixed up, and it is like heaven for a stalker. It is out in the middle of nowhere. It is surrounded by woods, and then on one side there's just a cliff. So this stalker could not have gotten luckier. During one of her book signings, she locks eyes with a mysterious stranger. Said stranger, like a spoiled child, sees a new beautiful toy through the glass and thinks, oh, yep, I want that one. That one's mine. And thus begins his obsessive mission to make her his. I joke, but he has grown on me since the initial meeting. I am surprised at how much I am liking the stalker, or the phantom or shadow, as Addie calls him. I mean, it's kind of crazy that this dude sees this woman once and is immediately obsessed. Like, my guy, you don't even know this woman. She could be the most boring woman on the planet. She could be an absolute psychopath. Like, you don't know this woman. But he does not care. He just knows that he wants her. Admittedly, the idea of just someone seeing you and immediately becoming infatuated is kind of hot, but also just so surface level and so unrealistic. Not gonna lie, the dark mysterious thing is kind of working though, on both me and Addie. I don't think it's of high priority that she is a willing participant in this, but he does want her to want him, and he seems to think that being obsessed with her and breaking into her house and leaving her little gifts, but never confronting her face to face, is the way to do that. Both Addie and I hate that it's working. If this were happening in real life, in no way would this work. It would not be hot. It would be weird. It would be creepy. Your ass would go to jail, but only because it is fictional. The unhinged, morally gray fictional character is kind of doing it for me this time. We also have another major case of the touch her and die trope, which I am always a fan of. We have gotten to see this firsthand. literally. The fact that this man was a terrible person obviously didn't hurt, but Z didn't go after him because he was a terrible person. Z went after him because he touched Addie, even though she wanted him to. But the fact that he was a terrible person did make it easier to enjoy the savagery in the name of Z's infatuation. It also makes it a lot easier to root for the guy when he's taking down so many evil people. Like, this guy is a full-fledged vigilante. I was kind of expecting like a dark, serious, I don't care about anyone or anything but Addie kind of guy. But he has his own goals and his own mission. He has built this entire empire to rid the world of human trafficking. He has this entire organization where he employs hackers to find out where the human trafficking rings are, and then he has mercenaries to work with them to actually go in and do the work to take them out and to save the girls. And it's honestly just amazing the amount of red flags that you can overlook when you see a badass John Wick-like character wipe out an entire warehouse of guards and save innocent women. I am really enjoying the chapters from his perspective specifically. There were a couple chapters there, including the one that I just described, where I was so in it. I was like getting lost and I forgot I was reading for a little bit. It is really easy to read in that aspect, but I'm also not sure I'm jiving with the writing style as a whole. I'm having a really hard time picturing the scenes that she is trying to paint in my head, especially from Addie's perspective. I am one of those people that have a movie that plays in their head as I'm reading, and I'm finding that I'm really struggling solidifying these pictures in my head when I'm trying to read these settings. And I don't always have to have this movie playing in my head in order to enjoy what I'm reading, but I do prefer it most of the time. The writing also feels pretty amateur. It is simple, which makes it easy to read, which is nice, but it does have that feeling of kind of fan fiction amateur writing that a lot of indie dark romances have. Is it too much to ask to have like a well-written dark romance that doesn't sound like fan fiction? And do not get me wrong, I am not bashing fan fiction by any means. I love a good fan fiction, but when I'm reading a published work like this, I do expect it to be a little better. I hold it to a little bit of a higher standard. I do want it a little bit more polished, more edited, more eloquent. Not that I'm specifically reading these types of stories for the eloquent writing, but I don't know. I just find myself wanting a little more. And some of these lines are just, they're a little cringy, okay? I'm going to say it. They're a little cringy. So I highlighted a couple that really stuck out to me in not a good way. So Addie says, I growl and give her the filthiest look I can manage. My face would make a dumpster look like Mr. Clean's house. Like, what a metaphor. Like, not in a good way either. Like, you couldn't think of any other metaphor. And then when Z finally locks eyes with Addie at her book signing, he says, I don't know if God really exists. I don't know if mankind has ever walked on the moon, nor do I know if parallel universes exist. But what I do know is that I just found the meaning of life sitting behind a table with an awkward smile on her face. Like, you found the meaning of life in one glance. Like, that's all it took. Like, come on, guy. Calm down. Hello. So I was looking back at my videos to make sure everything looked okay because last week's vlog, some of the clips just mysteriously stopped. And lo and behold, this one had one as well. So let me tell you again. The rest of my Haunting Adeline update. Another one of the main things that I'm struggling with at this point is the surface level characters, especially the side characters. There is absolutely zero substance to these side characters. They are literally like cardboard. And speaking of side characters, I find it very convenient that Addie's best friend just happens to be able to hack in to the police databases and like the FBI databases. Like, I guess it makes a little bit of sense now that we've learned what her job is, but it still just feels really convenient for the little side quest that her and Addie are on. Also, another thing that I am not enjoying, there is this entire side plot where Addie and her best friend are sleuthing through her grandmother's house, trying to find clues about her great-grandmother's murder, and turns out she also had a stalker of her own. But even though that may sound interesting, it absolutely is not. I am not enjoying it. I do not care about this woman's murder. In between every couple of chapters, we're getting this like ripped out page of Addie's great-grandmother's journal that is giving us clues about her murder and her stalker, and they just do not read like journal entries. They are so stiff and clunky and very like scripted to be believable as a journal entry. And again, I just do not care. I'm very much skimming through those parts because I just find them boring. I will admit, I am really enjoying the slow build of Addie and Z's relationship. I mean, I'm 150 pages in, and these characters haven't even spoken to each other, which you would think would be a deterrent, but I'm actually really enjoying it. Their only interactions right now are really just like Z ominously, creepily hanging around her house and somehow, without being noticed and without leaving any trace of a break-in, breaking in and leaving her gifts. This is putting her like constantly on edge. She is so paranoid all of the time, but she's also so intrigued. She doesn't understand like who this person is or why they're doing what they're doing, and she doesn't like it, but she also just feels this strange, strong allure to him anytime she like catches a glance of him outside of her window, just like standing there ominously watching her. And I am just really liking the tension of it. I'm overall having a pretty fun time with it, other than the grandma side plot and the not very well developed characters. I am quite intrigued to see where this relationship is going to go. And even though I am loving the slow build tension, I am ready for some contact. I am ready for some interaction between these two. I simply have one question for you. What is it with these dark romance men and banging their women with their weapons? How did I not know that this was a common theme? I just don't get it. I am on page 323 of Haunting Adeline. I'm about 50% of the way through, and I'm conflicted, honestly. Half of me really likes Zaid. We finally learned his name, by the way. Half of me really likes him, but the other half, honestly, hates him. And that's probably intentional because that is the same kind of feelings that Addie herself is having, but I don't know, it's just not making for a super enjoyable reading experience when half of me hates the love interest. I find it annoying how overly confident Zaid is that Addie is eventually going to give in to him. It's not even a matter of if for him, but when. I mean, we all know she's going to, but his smugness is just grating on me. He also says that he likes Addie scared, pleading, begging, crying. But if that's the case, how does that make him any different than the men that he has dedicated his life to taking down? I mean, sure, maybe he's not kidnapping and selling Addie, but he is most definitely forcing himself on her. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. It seems very contradictory of his character, of what we've learned of him so far. And what we've learned about him so far is one of the main things that I like about him. You know, he's this big baddie, but he is so heartbroken that he cannot save everyone in these human trafficking rings. He beats himself up and torments himself over the young women and children that he was not able to save in time. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love a tortured soul. It gets right to the heartstrings every single time. Those moments of sadness and weakness in him really do help to humanize him, and I just want to comfort him. I want Addie to be able to comfort him in those moments because they are really sweet. But while these cute, sweet things are happening in the back of my head, I'm just thinking like, this man like raped this woman. But I'm just having a really hard time getting past the non-consensual aspects of this relationship. And I did know going into this, after reading the trigger warnings, that non-consent was going to be present in this relationship, but as I expected, I am just not enjoying it. I'm having a hard time looking past it. Don't get me wrong, your girl loves a cat and mouse game. I love a hunt. I love a chase. But I think I've come to the realization that I think I need there to be a safe word. Having that safe word just lets me know without a shadow of a doubt that both parties are consenting and that they are both enjoying themselves and they want to be doing what they are both doing. And I mean, yes, she ends up giving in and pushing herself into him, like not wanting him to stop, letting him do what he will to her by the end. But leading up into that, she is pushing him away. She is saying no. She's crying, like saying, I do not want you to do this. Please stop. And he claims that, oh, I know her better than she knows herself. Her actions are speaking louder than her words. Like, clearly her body is reacting to me. So clearly she wants this. He thinks she just doesn't want to admit it to him or herself yet, which may be true, but that is her decision to make. That's not his decision. I don't know though. maybe I'm taking it too seriously. I am really enjoying their bickering and their taunting of each other. She clearly likes pushing his buttons, which she knows is going to result in him punishing her. And she admits multiple times that she does like and gets off on the danger. So, I mean, she does like it. Their second encounter, she does kind of ask for. She goads him into confronting her and giving her a punishment, which does put it more into the dubious consent rather than explicitly non-consent, but it still pushes the consensual boundary for me. I'm also still really struggling with some of the writing choices, especially from Addie's perspective. For example, she does this a super annoying thing where she constantly is like talking and asking God questions, but in like such a grating way. I'll give you an example. She says, "God, me again. We really need to talk about your life decisions when you made me. I'm not even sure I believe in her." She thinks God's a woman, which who knows, she could be. "But if she is real, then someone needs to smack her hand for making me how I am." And it's just, I don't know. It's little things like that that just kind of grate on me. It's like, I don't know if it's like childish or like immature. I don't know. I just don't like the way that a lot of things in Addie's perspective are written. And she is still just so gung-ho on trying to solve her great-grandmother's murder. And I just do not care. I could not care less. I like skim those sections for sure. On the flip side though, I am getting pretty invested in Zaid's little side quest. He found out that there are some pretty high ranking government officials that are taking part in some like really shady dark web ritualistic stuff. So in order to try to put a stop to these horrible, gruesome activities that these government officials are in on, he is going undercover to try to infiltrate their little society and trying to gain their trust so he can learn where these things are taking place and who else is participating in them so he can put a stop to it all. I don't want to give too much away, but I will say that Zaid's little undercover opt has kind of forced Addie to be in the position to have to play his fake girlfriend. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited to get a little bit of fake dating sprinkled in here. That is one of my favorite tropes. And I am looking forward to kind of see their dynamic outside of her bedroom in the middle of the night. I don't know. It kind of feels like I'm just shitting all over this book, which I kind of am, but I also will say that the more I read, the further I get into it, the more I am kind of getting drawn into the enjoyment of it, even though my issues are definitely still present. I just know that the level of consent in this relationship is going to heavily correlate with my enjoyment, so it can only go up from here, right? I knew it. I knew it. Awesome. Great. Okay. I will collect my thoughts and be back with you. Okay, friends, I have finally finished Haunting Adeline, and unfortunately, this was not for me. Even though Addie obviously does come around and their encounters do become more consensual the further into the book we get, as I suspected, I was just still never enjoying their dynamic. I was liking the bedroom scenes more in this last quarter than I had in the rest of the book, but they still weren't great. I just could not get behind these characters. Sometimes a toxic relationship is fun to read about, like never to be in, but sometimes a horrible toxic relationship is fun, but this was not fun for me. And I'm so sad about it. Like I wanted to like this so much. This is like the creme de la creme top dark romance, you know? So like if I don't like this, is dark romance even for me? I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the dialogue. I wasn't a huge fan of the writing style. Even the declarations of love, they felt forced and clunky and cringy. And I usually live for the declarations, but I was not a fan. Some of the dialogue was decent, and I mean, some of it was kind of cute, but a lot of it just like took me out of the story. I will say, even though I was never really a fan of Zayd romantically anyway, like as a love interest, I much preferred his perspective over Addie's. Towards the end, I really found myself just skimming through Addie's chapters. I honestly just found her to be a bit annoying, like the way she thought, the way she spoke, her junior sleuthing. I did not enjoy. I really felt this whole side plot surrounding her great-grandmother's murder brought absolutely nothing to the story. I don't know why, I found it boring. I think maybe because we didn't get any context or like time with the characters that were being discussed, her great grandmother, her grandmother. Like we never really connected with them. So I just did not care. I honestly feel like this could have been removed and the story would not have felt any differently. There would have been zero loss. And maybe it plays into the second book story a little bit, but I'm not even sure I'm going to find out. I did find the ending to be pretty obvious. Like I knew where this was headed at like 60 or 70% of the way through. And it wasn't bad per se. It was just really predictable. And I knew this stupid book was going to end in a cliffhanger. And that is like one of the only reasons why I am even contemplating going into the second one. It's because I hate a cliffhanger. I do obviously want to know how it ends, but I don't know if I can justify spending this much time with another chunker of a book when I didn't even really enjoy the characters or the story in the first one. Not that it was bad. Like there were aspects that I enjoyed about it, but I don't know. I feel like the cons outweigh the pros with this one. And I have the same issue with DNFing books as I do with DNFing series. Like I want to know what's going to happen and how it's going to end, even if I necessarily don't care. I mean, obviously I care a little bit, but like, even if I'm not liking the characters or the story, like I still want to know what happens. I don't know though. We'll see. I'm debating. I would also just like to point out that there is no way that this author has ever stepped foot into a mirror maze. There is what I'm sure is an iconic scene in this book in a mirror maze. And I just am not buying that Addie ran for like 30 minutes in this mirror maze. There's this huge chase scene and she does not slam into a mirror once. There's no shot that anyone is running or chasing in a mirror maze and not catching a mirror to the face, unless you're running with your hands out like this. But even then, you would obviously have to like stop and then run a little bit. Like you just can't run in a mirror maze. I mean, I've been in a mirror maze. They are so disorienting and you barely want to walk, let alone run. There's no shot. I've seen too many videos of kids running and just eating glass. There's no shot. And I would say I struggled with the writing and that's why I didn't enjoy this, but that I can't say that. That's not even true because I eat up some fan fiction and there are some really well-written fan fiction, but there's also some fan fiction that is like, let's just say it's not up to traditionally published standards, but if it has good characters, if it has good story, if it keeps me hooked, I am still going to eat it up and enjoy my time with it. And I feel like I've said a lot of negative things about this, and there were some negatives, but there were also some positives in it. I did like Zayd's character and side plot when he wasn't with Addie, when he is infiltrating this organization of these despicable people. The scenes of him rescuing these women and children were really sweet, and I did like that aspect of the story. And some of the romance scenes were decent towards the end, as long as I didn't think about the events that led them both there together. It has really just proven my hypothesis that I am not into non-consensual or even dubious consent romances. I mean, I love a morally gray character, even a morally dark character, but the questionable morality has to be aimed towards everybody else but the love interest. The relationship has to have respect and equality. And Zayd tells Addie, like, we are equals, but there is no way that you can say that and then in the split second, like not care about what she says. Even if you don't believe her, like if she is telling you that she doesn't want it, like she doesn't want it. You don't do it anyway. And I mean, that does not include like kink stuff. I love a dom and sub romance, but the sub has to be just as committed, fully consenting, very willing for me to enjoy it. All that being said, I think I am going to give this the same rating that I gave Den of Vipers, which is a 2.5. They were very equal in my mind. They shared a lot of the same themes, the same tropes, the same kind of plot point storyline, but they also shared a lot of the same drawbacks. I'm not sure I would recommend this or Den of Vipers to anyone, definitely not widely. I mean, this one is pretty highly rated. Like I said, this is like the dark romance book. So if you've liked dark romance in the past and non-consent and dubious consent, you know, isn't a trigger or a hard pass for you, I mean, go for it. Try it out. But for me, the writing wasn't great. Addie's junior sleuthing was boring. Zaid is an egotistical rapist, but he's hot, so apparently he can do no wrong. But I mean, he also, you know, tries to take down pedophiles and saves women and children, but also like doesn't respect women, or at least he doesn't respect Addie for sure. But hey, if you like that sort of thing, the smut's decent. I don't know. I think that is kind of one of the big drawbacks of a book like this, and with kind of Den of Vipers as well. I feel like the main goal of the author was to write smut, and then everything kind of came after. They had to try to create a story around the idea of, you know, with Den of Vipers, it was the four, you know, mafia guys. With this, it's the dark stalker. So there's this idea and you want the smut, but everything around it, everything not in that bubble just feels like an afterthought. Things that have to be there, but that's not what the main focus was. So I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed at the lack of enjoyment that I had these past two reads. Like I said, there were some good things about them. I'm not mad I read them. I just didn't quite enjoy them, but I hopefully saved the best for last. I'm going to give this genre one more chance to win me over. But you know, maybe I didn't start with the right ones. Maybe I didn't choose the correct ones to start off with. We are going to go into Lights Out. I am the most optimistic about this one, but if this one doesn't work for me, I'm not sure any dark romance will. But anyway, I think I'm going to go take a hot bath and start Lights Out. I went running a couple times this week and it has been really chilly, and there is something about the cold air that like hits me right in the lungs. I love running when it's a little chilly out, when the sun is not scorching down on me like it usually is. But this crisp fall air like makes my lungs burn when I'm like sucking in so much of it when I'm running. So I think I'm gonna go have a hot cup of tea with a hot bath and hopefully a hot book. I'm honestly not even sure how dark this romance is. It does kind of sound the most contemporary out of all of them. I mean, they're all contemporary, but this seems like it leans a little bit more into the contemporary romance tropes than the other two, but it is marketed as a dark stalker romance. So I guess let's go find out. I started Lights Out last night and I fear I am obsessed. I am already 50% of the way through this. I'm on page 177 and I have been thinking like, is this the one? Have we done it? I feel like the fish in SpongeBob where he starts cooking the Krabby Patties and they're all like sitting in the window. Like, this is what we've been waiting for.
That's what we've been waiting for!
It's what we wanted all along!
This is what I've been waiting for. I stayed up way too late, way past my bedtime, because I did not want to put this down. I still didn't want to put it down when I did eventually have to put it down because my eyes were burning and I was going to fall asleep. And I just knew, even 20 pages in, I knew that this was going to be for me. I was actually kind of shocked at how instantly this gripped me and drew me in. This is another dual POV, which love. And the audiobook is phenomenal. And as soon as I heard the male narrator's voice, I knew I had heard that voice before. But then when I went to search, I looked through this man's entire like list of books that he narrates and I could not find the book that I swore he narrated as well. But after my little rabbit hole descent, apparently this man has like 3 different pseudonyms that he goes by. So I was right. He does actually narrate the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez, which is another favorite series of mine. So yeah, he is so talented. This is also a duet narration style audiobook. So of course, the female is going to read Allie's chapters and then the male is going to read Josh's chapters. But if there is any like male dialogue in Allie's chapters, the male narrator is going to read those out and vice versa. And it is so good. So good. I am so glad that I got the audiobook for this because I do also have the ebook out from my library, which is how I initially just thought I was going to read it. But I had heard such good things about the audiobook and I did kind of want that extra immersive help with reading this one. So I am so glad that I spent an Audible credit for this because it is so worth it. Immersion reading this with both the audiobook and the ebook physically has been such a great experience. Highly recommend. But before I gush anymore, let me actually dive into what this is about. We have Allie, who is a trauma nurse who works in a very understaffed hospital, and working in this trauma center, her and her team see like the worst of the worst that the ER has to offer. I mean, we're talking like gnarly gunshot victims, we're talking mass shooting victims, we're talking rape victims, car accidents, on top of all of the other mundane ER visitors that a hospital gets. And I would be so curious to see somebody's opinion on this that actually works in a hospital because, I mean, I have worked in the medical field, but never in a hospital, and this just feels so authentic. I mean, I feel Allie's struggles through every shift. Like, she struggles so much with losing patients, of course. She feels so much guilt when there's nothing she can do. She's also just trying to keep track of all of these traumatized patients when they are so understaffed. There are just constant up and downs, like the spikes and crashes of adrenaline, of the constantly not knowing what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, all hands are on deck when an ambulance brings in like multiple victims. It just feels so real. Other than talking to her therapist on a very regular basis, the real way that she kind of unwinds and de-stresses after a very stressful day at the hospital is doing what a lot of us, I'm sure, are guilty of doing. She scrolls TikTok. But she has been getting into a very specific side of TikTok, and that is the masked men thirst traps. And one user in particular, the faceless man. And enter Josh. Josh is a super genius computer hacker. He actually works for a cybersecurity company. He is very reclusive, doesn't go out much. He literally runs his errands in the middle of the night when there are very few people out. He really tries to avoid people at all costs because his father is actually a notorious predator and serial killer. Josh's father very much followed in the footsteps of Ted Bundy, who Josh literally says is his father's idol. So that kind of paints the picture of who Josh's father was. And he just happens to be the spitting image of his father, which makes being out in public very difficult when he is constantly recognized. And this sweet man has the never-ending worry and the niggling in the back of his brain that he may have inherited his father's proclivities. He sets so many rules for himself to not test fate, to not even put himself into situations that parts of his father could come out. This sweet poor man won't even allow himself to be near any kind of animal because he knows that that is one of the main indicators and like baby steps towards becoming who his father was. And he does not even want to put himself in the situation of possibly getting an urge to hurt an animal. So he just avoids it. And he's like that with a lot of aspects in his life. But he does admit and acknowledge that he must have gotten some of his father's darkness because his sexual fantasies and tendencies do lean towards the darker variety. But what I absolutely love about Josh is that even though he really enjoys scaring and taunting Allie, he tells her multiple times, like, you say stop and this all stops. She is constantly in control. Well, I mean, that is after he breaks into her house to film a thirst trap in her bedroom and set up a hidden camera. So there's that. But he draws the line at watching her do anything too intimate. He has limits. He has morals. And Josh has been a little obsessed with Allie ever since they first saw each other, when Allie was coming out of his roommate's bedroom after a late night booty call and runs into him in his kitchen. So they have met before, like they are familiar with each other, but Allie has no idea that Josh is the faceless man. No one does, actually. Josh keeps it very secret. Not even his best friend and roommate knows, which is why when Josh's roommate shares a message from Allie with him, where Allie is asking him to don a mask and to come over, with a screenshot of Josh's thirst trap account, Josh is floored. He immediately kind of panics because he does not want his two lives intermingled at all. But he discreetly deletes the photo so his roommate can't inspect his tattoos too much and draw any conclusions. But now that Josh knows that Allie is into his alter ego, he cannot stop thinking about taking her up on every single one of her salacious suggestions left on every single one of his videos in the comment section. And thus starts Josh's mission to make Allie his. This man not only planted a camera in her bedroom when he broke in, he hacks into her laptop camera, he hacks into her hospital's cameras to watch her while she works, and just goes full-blown stalker. He really turns watching this woman into an Olympic sport. She quickly realizes that he is constantly watching her, and their interactions between her looking into the camera and them texting each other, like their flirting and banter is unmatched. I love that they're like so lusty after each other, but they're also just so snarky and funny and make each other laugh, and they just fit together. One of the many reasons why I love this so much is because Josh is such a genuine good person, and he is such a sweetheart. Like, after this man breaks into her house, he immediately orders her the best security system that money can buy, just to make sure that she feels safe in her own home. And he really just takes care of her in so many ways. And never once does Allie feel like a victim, which I strongly felt in the previous two books, and I am not a fan of. While Josh is trying to earn her trust, he makes it very clear that she is the one with all of the power. But once Josh is able to earn Allie's trust, he really just gets to go all big bad Dom on Allie. But even so, even then, he makes it very clear, like, you say stop and we stop. And Josh's relationship with her freaking cat, like, I can't. It is so freaking adorable. Her cat, of course, hates everyone but Allie, especially men, but this cat loves Josh. And Josh has never even had a pet before. This is the first animal he has ever allowed himself to pet because he was so afraid that these dark urges would emerge. But he pretty instantly falls in love with this cat, and their relationship is just so cute, and it is just so funny, so cute, so endearing. The writing in this book is so good. This is truly what I have been looking for in a dark romance, like a dark romance that is well written. We have complex, layered characters. We have darkness, but consent is never in question. Even though his intensity and stalking and breaking into her house does initially scare her, she absolutely loves it. Like, she is having the time of her life. She has been fantasizing about this exact scenario for months. So she is living her best life. I just cannot get over how immediately invested I was in these characters. And it seems like the more time that I'm spending with these two, the more I want. Like, I do not want this book to end. The other two books really felt like they just drug. I felt every page of those 650 pages. But I wish this was 650 pages. Like, I feel that 416, I think is how many pages this book is not going to be enough. Josh and Allie are truly just so layered and complex characters. I am really enjoying, like, opening them up, peeling away these layers and learning more about them, getting into their fears, their insecurities, and their feelings. I also just cannot get over not only how, like, hot and steamy this book is, but at the same time, possibly even more so, it is loving, it is sweet, it is caring. Not to mention, these characters are so funny. I was literally laying in bed last night with the stupidest looking little grin on my face while reading this. I forgot I was reading for a good portion of my reading session. Like, I laid there and read this for hours, and it did not feel like much time had passed. It has truly engrossed me. Oh my gosh. I also almost forgot to mention, like, apparently we can't have a dark romance without a knife being used, as I'm sure the inventor never intended it to be used. And this was no exception. But to my shock and awe, I didn't mind it in this. I mean, put in this context and through this lens, I kind of see the allure. Like, what is this book doing to me? I mean, this truly is just giving me everything I look for in a romance. We have complex characters with internal struggles. We have possibly one of my favorite things ever, which is a tragic backstory. Both of these characters have some pretty tragic backstories. We have chemistry through the freaking roof. We have fun, sexy banter. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this did indeed have me kicking my feet. I'm honestly not sure where the second half of this is going to go, kind of what it has in store. I do know that Allie just put herself on the radar of a pretty dangerous person, so I am sure that is going to come back to bite her in the ass, but I also hope that that is going to bring out protective Josh, because I need that. We got a little glimpse of it earlier in the book where she gets catcalled and Josh with his mask and his knife comes up and just like intimidates the hell out of these guys, and so good. So good. I don't want to be too hasty, but I am getting 5-star feelings. But we'll see how the second half goes. But I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I feel like something pretty catastrophic would have to happen. Like Nevessa Allen, who knew? What a talent. What a talent. I'm going to stop talking now because I feel like I've just been gushing and going on and on about this book. This clip is going to be so long. And I'm going to be honest. I just want to go read some more. I want to immediately pick this back up and continue. I am so ready to just get sucked back in and immersed into this world, into these characters. So that is what I'm going to do with the rest of my day. I'm going to finish this book. Hello, friends. I am back with my final update. I finished this book like I knew I would in another single setting. And I am truly just so impressed with this book. I feel like it was so well researched, so well developed, so well constructed, and just so well done. Needless to say, I absolutely loved this. The second half of this book really went in a direction that I was not expecting, came out of like total left field. I mean, the man that Allie pissed off did come into play, but in a really unexpected way. I mean, it turns out that that is not the most dangerous man that Allie knows. Allie also knows some pretty dangerous people. So yeah, the second half of this book was so interesting. I really enjoyed it as well. Even through all of the seriousness of the situation that they found themselves in, and even though they were both so scared, not only for each other, but like for themselves and what was going to happen with what they got themselves into, they did a really good job at keeping the story, fun and light. They were still joking with each other. They were still bantering back and forth, which I really appreciated. The second half of the book really could have gone in a completely different direction tonally, especially with everything that was going on in the situation that they had gotten themselves into. But I loved that it stayed this light, fun tone, but just added this layer of tension to it. And maybe light isn't the right word. I mean, there are multiple dead bodies, and Josh put himself in a really dangerous and possibly mentally harming place and situation to try to make sure that Allie remains safe. But the book still didn't take itself too seriously, which I had so much fun with and I thought was really well done. I will say the absolute unferal horniness these two had for each other was unreal. But I mean, that seems to be a common theme in these books, so I shouldn't be surprised. But because I loved and really enjoyed these characters, like the unreal feral horniness did not bother me in this like it has been annoying in other books in the past. But I also think that is heavily due to just how good this was constructed and how good of a mixture that this book had of both those, really fun, sexy scenes, but also the tense plot points. And although both of these characters are quite literally obsessed with each other, it never felt toxic. Like, because of Josh's past, he needs that control and that reassurance that his loved ones are safe. So that kind of does explain why the stalking and why he is so obsessive. And even through both of their obsessions with each other, it never felt unhealthily possessive. There was just the right amount of possessive. I would even more so it's protectiveness. They are so protective of each other. This book also did something that I really appreciate that I very rarely see. So there was such an ample opportunity for there to be a miscommunication conflict where Allie learned some information about Josh and she could have assumed a lot. She could have not heard him out and she could have just bolted. But no, she stopped. She thought everything through. She was very logical about everything and she heard him out. And honestly, that was just so refreshing to see after so many romances with this miscommunication trope, where if you would just wait, sit down, hear each other out, have an adult conversation, all of this could have been avoided. And it was beautiful. I really loved how logical Allie was throughout this entire thing. She is so smart. She is such a strong, badass character. But she also has these insecurities. She is so sweet. She is so caring. She's so loving. Her characterization was just so good. I freaking love both of these characters so much. They are both so sweet, so caring, and so funny. I just cannot get over the banter in this book. They were hilarious. And even though the second half of this book definitely took a turn from the first, and I will admit I did enjoy the first half a little bit more than I did the second half, but I still really enjoyed where this book went. I mean, it was a little weird and kind of out of left field, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was so well done. And the freaking epilogue, guys, the epilogue, no words, no words. Fantastic. I honestly loved every single thing about this. 5 stars, no notes, chef's kiss. Fantastic. I will definitely be keeping my eyes on Nevessa Allen in the future. I do know that the second book in this series is already out and available. It's called Caught Up. I think that it follows one of the characters that we meet in the second half of this book and kind of their life and their relationship. And after loving this so much, I will absolutely immediately be adding that to my TBR. And the third one, if I like the second one, which I mean, Nevessa Allen just really swoop me off my feet. So I'm really hoping that I like the second one as well. And if I do, there is a third one coming out in 2026. So very excited. Well, friends, we have done it. We have dabbled. We have taste tested. We have waded into the water of dark romance. And I had a pretty fun time. I can definitely say that I do have kind of more of a grip on what I am looking for in a dark romance versus definitely what I'm not looking for. I did have 2 pretty big misses. I mean, not that I didn't enjoy aspects of them, but they were definitely disappointing. I can't say that I enjoyed them. There were things about them that I liked, but they were definitely misses. But I got a new 5 star. I got a new favorite, friend. So I can't be mad at that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me as I kind of dip my toe and dabble in the dark romance genre. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, or if you like dark romance, let me know what your favorite is. Or if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know that you were here, leave me a knife emoji because obviously. And while you're down there, don't forget to like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more from me in the future. I hope you are having an absolutely amazing day, morning, night, wherever you are. I hope you are loving what you are reading lately. Stay safe out there, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye, friends.